Right, Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members, I am presenting this statement in line with Rule 25 L and M 59 and 64. Right, Honorable Speaker, Colonel Dr. Kiiza Besigye, former Forum for Democratic Change President, four-time presidential candidate, and now one of the promoters of the People's Front for Freedom, was abducted from Nairobi, Kenya on November 16, 2024. He had traveled to Nairobi on the invitation of NARC Kenya political party leader and former Kenyan Justice Minister Martha Karua. Dr. Besigye was scheduled to speak at Martha Karua's book Against the Tide launch. He, together with Ajobed Rutare Kamuregeya, a senior PFF leader, was abducted from a riverside apartment in Eastland, where he was attending a brief meeting before proceeding for dinner for Karua's book launch guests. He was then driven across borders by his captors. His passports, national ID, wallet, and other belongings remained at Warid Hotel, where he had been booked in. Dr. Besigye did not, or was not made to undergo immigration protocols on the Kenyan or Ugandan immigration sites. News of his missing started circulating 3 days after his abduction on Tuesday, November 19th. Right, Honorable Speaker and members, Dr. Besigye was then miraculously arraigned before the Military Disciplinary Committee, commonly known as Court Martial, on Wednesday, November 20th. Charges of possession of 2 pistols, which were learned that day that is a monopoly of UPDF, were read to him and he is co-accused. They also charged with holding meetings in Switzerland, Greece, and Nairobi for purposes of undermining the security of Uganda. Right, Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members, the abduction of Dr. Besigye has been condemned widely by the UN, lawyers, human rights defenders, democratic organizations, and individuals. Even the Uganda Human Rights Commission has condemned this abduction and demanded for Besigye's immediate release. I call upon you, Madam Speaker, and the House to join the world in condemning this heinous crime of abduction. Condemned because there are laws, international and domestic, that govern extradition and deportation. The Ugandan, Kenyan, and international laws were all in this case not followed. Only criminals can do this. You may not be concerned with Besigye, but be concerned with the state continuing to act criminally. I want to emphasize that point. You may not be concerned with Besigye, but you should be concerned with the state continuing to act criminally. Madam Speaker, I raised the issue of the 36 PF members that were abducted from Kisumu in this House. They were handcuffed and driven across borders in similar manner. The 3 women who were part of this group were not allowed to ease themselves for 14 hours. When they were finally allowed, it is male soldiers that were pulling their knickers and ordered them to urinate as they remained handcuffed. They were later charged with terrorism. Madam Speaker and members, we are concerned with the continuing human rights violations by the NRM government, including ministers working in jails and making people to confess to crimes they have not committed, and then getting the NRM chairman to pardon them. All things concern us, and they should concern every MP. This parliament should also demand for an explanation from Kenya. Even Chris was abducted. I went to see him at Ginger Road. They had denied him simple things, including his slippers. That giant is there. This parliament, Madam Speaker, should also demand for an explanation from Kenya. He was representing us in finding out how the Honorable Nevanda died. They charged him with stealing body parts.
Is that a part of your statement?
No, I was reminding him to sit down and listen to the statement. It is not part of the statement.
Maybe you wanted to compliment
I am
on
sorry,
what?
Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker and members, we are concerned with continuing human rights violations by the NRM government. This must stop. We demand for an explanation from government, Madam Speaker. This parliament should also demand for an explanation from Kenya, whether it is still subscribes to the East African Community Brotherhood. The ministers of internal affairs, who heads immigration, foreign affairs, and defense, Madam Speaker, must be made to explain to this parliament this incident and to the country. Madam Speaker, I thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
I am alive to the fact that the issue substantially raised by Honorable Semujunganda is a matter before a court established through an act of parliament, the UPDF Act. What I can confirm on behalf of government is what is already in the public domain. That Colonel retired Dr. Kiiza Besigye arrested, produced in court, charged, and remanded to lose their appearance, and he will be availed back to court on the 2nd of December 2024. On the call for condemnation, I wish to persuade my honorable colleague that that may be too early, because the matter before court will be a subject of evidence, subject of prosecution, and the outcome definitely will be known. It may be too early for us to condemn. But what I can also advise is that, honorable colleague, let us accept to always play within the rules. Honorable Semujyu and myself, we always play within the rules. At times, you invite the referee to warn you verbally. At times, you are given a yellow card. But if you are an habitual offender, you are red carded. Let us advise fellow countrymen and women to always play within the rules. Because the question is, just like Balotelli scored against Manchester United and pulled a t-shirt written on, why always me scoring against Manchester United? Why always you and not me and not her? Why always you? That must be a fundamental question. I beg to submit.
Yes, counsel. Not the junior counsel, the senior.
Madam Speaker, I want to thank you. I have listened to the response of the government chief whip. And we are all aware that this is a matter before court. There are, however, two fundamental issues that government should make a statement on, clarify. And that relates to our relationship with Kenya, especially in light of the fact that we have an extradition treaty with that country. How safe are Ugandans? Now, that is outside the purview of sub judice, if we really want to hide under that.